My beloved child, there are seasons when I do not lead you with the roar of thunder, nor do I open before your eyes a radiant signpost, but I place within your heart a very gentle stirring, a holy uneasiness, a sense of unrest that you cannot easily name. Do not despise those signals, for not everything that comes from me appears in a grand form. Sometimes my protection comes as a slowing down. Sometimes my mercy comes as a door that does not open. Sometimes my hand keeps you from what you thought was an opportunity, because behind that attractive outer shell may be a path that would wear down your soul. As it is written, your ears shall hear a word behind you, saying, "This is the way. Walk in it." Isaiah 30:21. That voice does not always force, nor is it always loud, but it is near enough for the humble heart to recognize, I do not want you to live in fear, but neither do I want you to walk like one asleep in broad daylight. There are choices that appear ordinary at first glance, but if they are not illuminated by wisdom, they can draw you far from peace, far from purpose, far from the very person I am forming within you. Therefore, when your heart feels held back, do not be quick to resist. When you sense a warning sign within you, do not immediately silence it with the reasoning of the flesh or the noise of the crowd. I know that many times you want to move quickly, to have an answer at once, to prove that you are ready. But my child, there are moments when maturity is not found in taking another step, but in knowing how to stand still beneath the shadow of my wings until the clouds clear and the path becomes visible. Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct your paths. Proverbs 3:5-6. I am not telling you to abandon thought, but I am teaching you not to let your limited understanding become a throne that replaces my voice. There are abysses that do not appear before your eyes, snares covered with sweet words, roads that are strewn with flowers at the beginning but led, in the end, into weariness. When I slow you down, it is not because I hate your joy, but because I love your future. Remember the story of Balaam on the road, when he thought he was merely continuing his journey according to his own will, while the donkey beneath him stopped and turned aside from the angel, who stood blocking the way with a drawn sword. Balaam was angry because he did not see what the animal saw. He struck what was saving him, blamed what was keeping him from disaster, until his eyes were opened and he realized that the delay itself had been mercy. Numbers 22:21-35. My beloved child, sometimes you are like that as well. You grow frustrated because a plan is hindered. You grieve because a relationship does not continue. You are confused because a door closes before you. But I want you to understand this. Not every pause is failure. Some pauses are my angels, standing between you and what would wound you. Some things you call delays are my arms drawing you out of a dangerous place that your eyes are not yet far-seeing enough to perceive. So do not lose gratitude simply because you do not yet fully understand what I am doing. One day, you will look back and realize that I preserved you more tenderly than you imagined. You will see that the times you were not chosen were actually the times I chose life for you. You will understand that the silences which once made you impatient were the very places where I filtered the noise from your mind. You will recognize that holy uneasiness did not come to torment you, but to call you back to wakefulness. I do not sow fear into you, for God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind. 2 Timothy 1:7. That sound-mindedness does not make you shrink back from life. It helps you walk with clear eyes, with a tender heart, with a soul that knows how to discern what is my voice and what is merely the pressure of anxiety. I want you to be strong, but true strength is not rushing forward despite every sign. True strength is knowing how to humble your heart, how to ask me, how to wait for me, and how to let my light shine through what temporary emotions cannot yet see clearly. Therefore today, if there is a gentle prompting within your heart inviting you to pray more, listen to it. If there is a restraint that keeps you from being able to say yes to something, bring it into my presence. If your soul does not feel at peace before taking a step, do not be quick to accuse yourself of weakness. Draw nearer to me, for the lamp of the body is the eye. If therefore your eye is good, your whole body will be full of light. Matthew 6:22. I want to illuminate you from within, so that you do not merely see things on the surface, but discern the spirit behind them, the fruit beyond them, and the true direction in which they lead. There are voices that urge you to decide immediately, to seize it immediately, to chase after it immediately, but my voice often carries a deep peace, even when what I speak is not what your flesh wants to hear. My peace is not shallow comfort, but the quiet confirmation that you are standing in my will. My child, do not fear my guidance. I do not come to take your life away from you, but to restore to you life in its truest meaning. I do not warn you so that you may tremble, but so that you may be preserved. I do not hold you back because I want you to remain small, but because I am preparing for you a wider, purer, firmer path, where your feet will not have to walk in confusion, but in faith. The Lord shall preserve you from all evil. He shall preserve your soul. Psalm 121:7. Let that word become the place you lean on when you do not yet understand why I am telling you to slow down. Let your heart be soft enough to be corrected, still enough to hear, humble enough to be led, for I am still nearer to you than your own breath, still seeing what you have not yet seen, still knowing the end of the road before you take the first step. And if today you are willing to pause within my arms, you will not lose what belongs to you. You will only be kept from what was never worth the cost of your soul. There are things, my beloved child, that are not open to the one who merely stands outside and calls it waiting. You may think you are being patient, but sometimes what you call patience is only a gentle form of delay. I know your heart. I know you fear taking the wrong step, fear that you are not strong enough, fear that if you move forward, everything will slip beyond your control. But I speak to you with the love of a father. There are doors that do not open to eyes that only look, but to feet that are willing to step in. There are seasons that do not become destiny on their own if you keep standing at the edge. Be strong and of good courage. Do not be afraid, nor be dismayed, for the Lord your God is with you wherever you go. Joshua 1:9. I am not telling you to rush forward in haste, but I am calling you to step out of the place of slumber, where you have hidden for too long under the name of waiting for the right time. The appointed moment I give is not always a trumpet blast from heaven. Often it is the quiet stirring within the heart. The invitation of today, the small light, just enough for you to take one more step. Understand this deeply. Today is not an empty space between the past and the future. Today is the ground I have placed beneath your feet. Today is where grace is still breathing, where my word is still sounding, where your heart can still soften before my call. Do not entrust your whole life to a tomorrow that has not been promised. Do not say, the time will come, for so long that when I call, you have become more accustomed to silence than to obedience. As it is written, behold, now is the accepted time. Behold, now is the day of salvation. 2 Corinthians 6:2. I do not say this to frighten you, but to awaken within you the preciousness of the present moment. Delay, when nourished long enough, no longer stays still. It quietly pulls your soul away from what once burned brightly within you, causing promises that were once alive to become sighs of regret. Sometimes you think I remind you because you are not good enough, but that is not so. I remind you because you belong to me. A loving father cannot watch his child draw near to a cliff and remain silent while calling it respect for freedom. True love does not abandon. True love is not indifferent before danger. True love knows when to whisper, when to block the way, when to place a holy uneasiness within your heart so that you stop before what is disguising itself in an attractive form. For whom the Lord loves, he chastens, and scourges every son whom he receives. Hebrews 12:6. My correction is not the rod of anger, but the hand that keeps you from the fire. The reminders within your heart are not chains, but cords of love pulling you away from places whose consequences you have not yet seen. I have not come to narrow your life. I have come to save your life from small choices that could wear down the great life I have placed within you. Remember Naaman, the commander of great renown, yet carrying leprosy in his body. He came seeking healing. But when Elisha told him to go down and wash 7 times in the Jordan River, pride rose up within him. He nearly turned away simply because the method I chose was too simple, too different from what he had imagined. But when he humbled himself and stepped down into those waters, new life touched him, and his flesh was restored like the flesh of a little child. 2 Kings 5:10-14. Do you see? My beloved child, there are miracles that do not begin with a surge of emotion, but with a very specific act of obedience. If Naaman had remained standing on the bank, saying he was waiting for a greater sign, he might have returned home, still carrying his disease. In the same way, there are things I am preparing for you that lie on the other side of an act of obedience. You keep delaying because it seems too small, too humble, or too different from the way you expected. Therefore, when your heart trembles at my word, do not be quick to call it a passing emotion. Not every stirring in the soul is the weakness of the mind. Some stirrings are the voice of the Holy Spirit awakening the deepest part within you. I do not always come with fire upon the mountain or with a wind that tears the rocks. Often I come in a gentle whisper, as I spoke to Elijah in the stillness. 1 Kings 19:12. If you keep living amid noise, you may overlook my gentle knocking. If you keep needing a violent sign in order to believe, you may fail to recognize that I have already come very near in the peace that softly touches your heart. My voice does not break down the door to enter. I stand and knock, because my love does not force its way in, yet it does not withdraw from the soul I love. When you open, even if only through a small crack of honesty, my light can flood into the places that were once locked shut by fear, shame, and old habits. I know there are roads you have walked for so long that you have begun to call darkness normal. There are burdens you have carried for so long that you have forgotten you are allowed to lay them down. There are habits that have worn you down little by little, but because they did not destroy you in a single day, you have underestimated their quiet devastation. My child, I am not calling you back so that you will hate yourself. I do not expose the darkness to humiliate you. I shine light because I want to heal. Your word is a lamp to my feet and a light to my path. Psalm 119:105. That light does not come to condemn the one who is lost, but to help that soul see the way home. If today you realize that you have drifted far away, do not despair. One step of turning back in truth is enough to begin the journey home. I am not as far away as you think. I am not waiting for you to crawl through 1,000 miles of pain before I open my arms. When you turn back, you will see that I have been standing nearer than your own breath. Therefore, do not let guilt disguise itself as humility. Do not say that you are not worthy yet to respond to me. No one enters new life by perfect achievement. They enter by faith and obedience. The prodigal son did not return carrying proof that he had fixed everything. He carried only a broken heart and a decision to rise. But while he was still far off, the father ran to embrace him, clothed him with a new robe, placed a ring on his hand, and restored his dignity. Luke 15:20-22. That is the image of my heart toward you. I am not calling you home to make you stand at the door like a stranger. I am calling you home because there is still a place for you in the house, still a portion for you at the table, and my love remains whole and undiminished for you. What I need is not for you to adorn yourself with perfection, but for you to stop running from the grace that is seeking you. Today, I place before you a gentle yet solemn invitation. Listen while your heart can still hear. Return while your feet can still turn back. Open the door while my knocking is still sounding in the hidden depths. Do not let your soul become accustomed to passing over my reminders as though they were merely fleeting feelings. Each time I call, it is love, preserving you from what you are not strong enough to save yourself from. Each time I cause your heart to feel unsettled before a wrong path, it is mercy standing between you and the consequences. Each time I remind you of the light, it is because I know the flame within you has not gone out, it has only been covered. Step into today with a small but truthful yes. Let me lead you out of hesitation, out of long slumber, out of the land where promises remain suspended because of fear. I am here. My beloved child, I have not left you, and when you place your hand in mine, you will see that you do not lose freedom. You are led into a life wider, purer, and more peaceful, where my love not only calls you home, but also teaches you to walk as one who has truly been made alive. My beloved child, there are times when I do not place before you a sign so great that you cannot deny it, nor do I speak to you with a resounding sound that shakes everything around you. Sometimes I only touch, very gently, the deepest place within your soul, causing your heart to suddenly grow heavy, your steps to slow, and your intention to no longer carry the same peace as before. Do not be quick to call this weakness, and do not be quick to deny it simply because you cannot yet explain it in words. There are holy calls that do not pass through the ears, but through the awakening of the heart. There are forms of protection that do not come like a wall before your eyes, but like a very subtle feeling that keeps you from moving forward carelessly as before. As it is written, the shepherd goes before them, and the sheep follow him, for they know his voice. John 10:4. I want you to learn to recognize my voice amid countless noises, not only when I part the sea before you, but also when I whisper in a quiet moment that others may not notice at all. Many times you ask me to open a way, yet you do not realize that sometimes a closing is also a form of guidance. You ask me to give you an opportunity, but not everything that looks like an opportunity comes from my hand. There are doors that gleam on the outside but lead inward to depletion. There are invitations that sound very reasonable but gradually pull you away from peace. There are relationships that first excite you, but later bind your soul in heaviness. I do not stop you because I want to take away your joy. I stop you because I see what you have not yet seen, because I hear the echo at the end of the road before you have even placed your foot at its beginning. Every way of a man is right in his own eyes, but the Lord weighs the hearts. Proverbs 21:2. Therefore, when I place restraint within you, it is not a sentence of condemnation, but a small lamp lit so that you will not wander into a place that would dim the light I have placed inside you. Let me teach you to distinguish between true peace and haste disguised as faith. Faith is not closing your eyes and running forward despite every warning sign. Faith is knowing how to step when I tell you to step, how to stop when I tell you to stop, and how to wait when I am covering something you do not yet have enough light to understand. At times you think you must decide immediately. Seize it immediately. Prove that you are not afraid. But my child, courage does not always take the shape of moving forward. Sometimes courage is daring to remain still in obedience, even when others do not understand, even when you yourself do not yet have enough explanation. Be still and know that I am God. Psalm 46:10. That stillness is not helplessness. It is the place where your soul is brought back under my rule, so that you are no longer carried away by emotion, pressure, or the voice of the crowd like a leaf in a strong wind. Remember King David when he had the chance to kill Saul in the cave. In human eyes, it could have seemed like the perfect moment to remove the one who was hunting him. The men beside him thought so as well. They looked at the circumstance and assumed that I had delivered his enemy into his hand. But David stopped. He did not allow the opportunity outside him to replace the reverence within him. He only cut off the edge of Saul's robe. And afterward, his heart troubled him, because he knew there are things that, even if they can be done, do not mean they should be done. 1 Samuel 24:4-7. Do you see, my beloved child? Not every door that opens slightly is permission from me. Not every unexpected advantage is a sign that you must enter. Some tests do not come in the form of lack, but in the form of something too easily obtained. And the one who belongs to me is the one who knows how to ask. Does this please the Father? Before asking, does this benefit me? Therefore, do not take lightly the times when your heart is not at peace. It may be that this very unrest is keeping you from a decision that would steal many years of peace from you. It may be that this very delay is giving you more time to see clearly the true nature of something you once desired too intensely. It may be that this very closed door is mercy standing before you. Just as the cloud and the pillar of fire stood between the people of Israel and the Egyptian army, giving light to my people, while bringing darkness upon the enemies who pursued them. Exodus 14:19-20. I still work this way in your life. Sometimes I cover you through what you call delay. Sometimes I protect you through what you call disappointment. Sometimes I save you through what you once thought was loss. Do not judge my love too quickly, simply because it does not come in the form you expected. In time, when the season has fully ripened, you will look back and realize that my hand had gone before you in many small things. You will remember the times your plans were redirected, the encounters that did not continue, the promises of others that were not fulfilled, the intentions that suddenly no longer flowed smoothly. And you will understand that I was never absent. I was in the restraint. I was in the sigh. I was in the silence that compelled you to pray more deeply. The steps of a good man are ordered by the Lord, and he delights in his way. Psalm 37:23. I do not lead you only through what succeeds. I also lead you through what does not come to pass. I do not speak only through open doors, I also speak through closed doors. And if your eyes are washed clean by faith, you will see that my mercy is not only in what you receive, but also in what you are kept from. I do not want you to become someone who fears everything, doubts every step, and closes your heart to every opportunity. No, my beloved child, I call you into spacious life, not into the prison of anxiety, but my spaciousness always walks together with wisdom. If any of you lacks wisdom, let him ask of God, who gives to all liberally. James 1:5. Ask me before you commit. Place what you desire beneath my light before you call it my will. Let me test the motives, the fears, the longings, and the invitations that are pulling at you. What comes from me may challenge you, but it will not wear down your soul with continual chaos. What comes from me may require you to grow, but it will not demand that you trade away the purity, dignity, and deep peace I have planted within you. Therefore, today, if you feel a very gentle reminder within your heart, bring it to me instead of burying it beneath busyness. If you see that a certain step makes your heart lose its light, pause long enough to ask me, if you are trying to convince yourself that everything is fine while your soul remains heavy, do not cover your ears against that warning bell. I did not place watchfulness within you to exhaust you, but to preserve you. The peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, will guard your hearts and minds. Philippians 4:7. That peace is not a shallow feeling when everything is convenient. It is a holy guarding over your heart, helping you recognize where you are being sent and where you are merely being swept away. My child, trust that I never lead you with cruelty. Even when I tell you to slow down, it is still love. Even when I take from your hand what you are holding tightly, it is still preservation. Even when I cause you to wait beneath the shadow of my wings, it is still preparation. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. Psalm 23:1. The good shepherd does not only lead the sheep to green pastures, he also pulls them back from the edge of the cliff, guides them away from violent waters, heals them when they are wounded, and calls them back when they go astray. I am your shepherd. I do not lead you so that you will lose yourself, but so that you will find true life again in me. Let your heart remain soft, your ears open, and your steps humble. When you are willing to pause in my presence, you will realize that nothing belonging to you is stolen by obedience. Only the things that could wound you fall from your hands, while what I have appointed in love will be preserved until the right time, in light, in peace, and under my unchanging covering. My beloved child, I did not create you merely to pass through this life by avoiding a few wrong things and then call that enough. Nor do I preserve you merely so you may have a stable life, in the small way the world often understands it, where there is no upheaval, yet the soul is still asleep, where the body still functions, yet the heart has already run out of life. I call you into a life wider, deeper, and purer, where every breath is not only a sign that you still exist, but proof that my grace is still sustaining you. As Christ himself said, I have come that they may have life, and that they may have it more abundantly. John 10:10. That abundance is not the noise of outward success, nor a false fullness that makes you forget your soul, but an inner condition awakened, illuminated, and reordered according to my holy design. I want you to live as one who is truly alive, not as one who merely passes through each day by habit, only to look back and wonder when the freshness was lost. But my child, abundant life does not grow in neglected soil. A garden cannot bear fruit if it is not tended. A lamp cannot burn long if its oil is not preserved. And a soul cannot become strong if it keeps allowing every unconscious habit to carry it away. The discipline I teach you is not the cold chain of fear, nor is it a burden by which you must prove your worth before me. Discipline in me is offensive love around what is precious. It is the way a child learns to guard what the Father has entrusted, learning to recognize that each small choice today is not as small as it appears. He who is faithful in what is least is faithful also in much. Luke 16:10. When you choose to stop before something pleasant that clouds your mind, you are protecting tomorrow's clarity. When you refuse a compromise that seems harmless, you are opening the way to a deeper freedom. When you know how to say no to what only pleases the flesh for a moment, you are saying yes to the person who was created to walk in dignity. Remember Daniel and his friends in the palace of Babylon. They were not in a wilderness of lack, but in the midst of a royal table where everything was presented beautifully, attractively, and reasonably in the eyes of the world. The king's food could have been a symbol of privilege, opportunity, and assimilation in order to be accepted. But Daniel resolved in his heart that he would not defile himself with that portion. He asked to be given vegetables and water for a time. And I made their faces appear healthier and their wisdom brighter than that of the others. Daniel 1:8-17. Do you see? My beloved child, there are great victories that begin with a quiet decision where no one applauds. There is strengthening that comes after you dare to separate yourself from what the crowd considers normal. And there is wisdom I pour only into the vessel you have kept clean through reverent fear. Therefore, do not treat your body as an object to be spent however you wish, nor handle it like a meaningless vessel meant only to contain temporary desires. I breathed the breath of life into you. Every heartbeat, every breath, every ability to see, to hear, to walk, to work, to rest, and to love is a gift given in wonder. Do you not know that your body is the temple of the Holy Spirit who is in you? 1 Corinthians 6:19. A temple is not cared for through carelessness. A temple is not preserved by choices that wear it down. When you eat and drink with watchfulness, rest with gratitude, work in order, and keep yourself from excess, you are not merely caring for health in an outward sense. You are practicing a quiet form of worship. You are saying to me through your life, Father, what you have entrusted to me is precious, and I do not want to waste it in unconsciousness. There are times when you think freedom means being able to do whatever you want, but I want you to understand that true freedom is not being led by every desire without the ability to stop. True freedom is when you are no longer enslaved to what once controlled you. True freedom is when you can choose what is good, even while what is easier is calling. True freedom is when you know what your body needs, what your soul needs, and what your mind must be protected from. All things are lawful for me, but all things are not helpful. All things are lawful for me, but I will not be brought under the power of any. 1 Corinthians 6:12. My beloved child, that word does not come to suffocate your joy, but to rescue you from things that first look like pleasure and later become harsh masters. I do not want you to live under the rule of habit, screens, cravings, weariness, excess, or the silent cycles that weaken your will. I want you to stand upright in self-control, not through pride, but through grace rebuilding you from within. The self-control I give is not dry, not cold, and it does not make you become harsh with yourself. God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind. 2 Timothy 1:7. Look carefully, my child. Power walks together with love, and love walks together with sound judgment. If you have discipline without love, you may easily become hard. If you only speak of loving yourself without self-control, you may easily indulge yourself to the point of wounding your own life. But in me, these two are joined together. I teach you to care for yourself not because you hate your weakness, but because you honor the life I have placed within you. I teach you to let go of what harms you not so that you may live in lack, but so that there may be room within you to receive what is better. I teach you to enter into order, not so that your life may lose its naturalness, but so that peace may have a place to dwell. Let each of your days become a small altar, where ordinary choices are offered up in faithfulness. When you wake up and do not allow your mind to be immediately swept into noise, that is an offering. When you choose to pray before reacting, that is an offering. When you know how to stop eating, stop speaking, stop watching, stop chasing after what is making your heart heavy, that is an offering. When you choose to sleep at the right time so your body may be restored, choose to work responsibly, choose to keep a small promise, choose to keep walking instead of giving up, you are building, stone by stone, the future of your life. Therefore, whether you eat or drink, or whatever you do all to the glory of God. 1 Corinthians 10:31. Nothing is too small to be sanctified when you do it in my presence. A glass of water received with gratitude, a wholesome meal, a rest taken in the right place, a decision not to yield to temptation. All of these can become places where my light touches your life. And if you have once wasted your strength, neglected your body, allowed your mind to sink into unconsciousness, promised many times to change and then fallen again, I do not come to crush you with guilt. I come to lift you up. Do not turn yesterday's failure into today's prison. His mercies never come to an end. They are new every morning. Lamentations 3:22-23. Every morning is an invitation to return to order, not through self-condemnation, but through one small and truthful step of obedience. You do not need to repair your entire life in a single moment. You only need to place this moment beneath my light. Then the next moment, then the next day, I will teach you to rebuild from within, not by the haste of temporary emotion, but by the endurance of grace. Therefore, my beloved child, look at your body with gentleness. Look at your habits with honesty. And look at your future with faith. I am calling you into a life that is no longer dragged along by lower desires, but led by wisdom from above. I want your mind to be clear, your soul to be light, your body to be honored, and your days no longer to pass by like wasted water. Let me reorder what is within you. Let me teach you to love purity, to love moderation, to love wakefulness, to love small choices that carry great power. For when you know how to guard what I have entrusted to you, you will realize that abundant life is not far away. It begins right in the way you breathe, the way you choose, the way you stop, the way you continue, and the way you allow my love to become the holy order that leads you into a life full of light. My beloved child, let me walk with you on this path with the gentleness of a father who cannot bear to leave you behind in familiar places of darkness. I will not pull at you with a force that makes you afraid, nor will I pressure you in a way that leaves your soul exhausted. I will take your hand, little by little, leading you out of the worn paths you have walked for so long that you began to think they were home. There are things that begin only as a small habit, a slight indulgence, one concession to what is not truly good, but if they are not touched by light, they quietly grow into cords of bondage. They may be covered with the appearance of comfort, decorated with reasonable justifications, hidden beneath a sense of familiarity. Yet inwardly, they cause your soul to lose its freedom, little by little. Let us lay aside every weight and the sin which so easily ensnares us. Hebrews 12:1. I do not tell you to let go in order to make you poor. I tell you to let go so that your hands may be emptied to receive what is purer, more enduring, and more truly of life. There were times when I touched your heart before the danger had fully revealed itself. You thought it was only a passing feeling, an unreasonable hesitation, a small uneasiness not worth your attention. But my child, not every warning bell sounds like thunder. Before a storm comes, the sky often changes color very subtly. Before a road leads you far from me, your heart often already feels a sinking, a heaviness that, if you are willing to listen, you will recognize not as weakness, but as preservation. A prudent man foresees evil and hides himself, but the simple pass on and are punished. Proverbs 22:3. I want you to be wise, not suspicious. I want you to be watchful, not afraid. Watchfulness in me is eyes opened to recognize the direction of grace, a heart soft enough to hear when I speak quietly, a soul that does not allow itself to be lulled asleep by things repeated for so long that they seem harmless. Understand that I do not come only after everything has broken apart to gather up your fragments. I am the one who goes before you. I am the one who keeps watch from afar. seeing the abyss when you can only see a level road. Sometimes I place an interruption into your plan, cause an encounter to no longer flow smoothly, make an opportunity suddenly lose its appeal, or place within you a question that will not fall silent. Do not despise those pauses. It may be that the very place where you are slowed down is the place where I am saving you from rushing into what would wound you. As it is written, the Lord, He is the one who goes before you. He will be with you. He will not leave you nor forsake you. Deuteronomy 31:8. I do not stand behind you merely as one who repairs the consequences. I go before you as the Father who places his hand upon a dangerous door before you can open it. There is a story you need to remember. When Paul and his companions wanted to preach the word in Asia, the Holy Spirit prevented them. Then when they tried to enter Bithynia, the Spirit of Jesus did not permit them. Seen with natural eyes, that restraint could have confused them, because what they wanted to do seemed good. But in the night, Paul saw a vision of a Macedonian man calling, "Come over to Macedonia and help us." And through that redirection, the door of the gospel was opened in the place I had appointed. Acts 16:6-10. Do you see? My beloved child, even something that appears good still needs the right time, the right direction, and the right guidance. Not every restraint is opposition. Sometimes it is my hand turning you away from a road that is not yet yours, so that I may bring you to the place where your heart will bear more fruit. Therefore, when I interrupt what you are pursuing, do not rush to conclude that you have been abandoned. You may be being adjusted. I know this world is skilled at trading the soul for small gifts. It does not always tempt you with what is obviously evil. Often it comes through temporary comfort, through an invitation to rest without order, through a pleasure that dulls the conscience, through a choice that seems as though it affects nothing, yet when repeated long enough, draws you away from the light. For what will it profit a man if he gains the whole world and loses his own soul? Mark 8:36. I want you to keep that word like a lamp before your eyes. No convenience is worth trading away purity. No moment of satisfaction is worth trading away deep peace. No road is worth walking if, in the end, it causes you to no longer recognize my voice. You are more precious than what you are being tempted to grasp. Your soul is not a cheap thing to be exchanged for fleeting moments. Because you are precious, I will not remain silent when you begin to slip away from the place where true life is waiting for you. I will remind you through the words of someone who loves you. I will remind you through a scripture that suddenly touches the hidden depths within you. I will remind you through an uneasiness that refuses to leave your heart. I will remind you through doors that suddenly close, through rhythms of life that are interrupted, through moments when you are forced to look at yourself. The spirit of a man is the lamp of the Lord, searching all the inner depths of his heart. Proverbs 20:27. That light does not shine in order to shame you, but to save you from what is hiding in the darkness. I do not expose in order to condemn. I expose in order to heal. I do not cause you to stop so that you may suffer loss. I cause you to stop so that you will not lose something greater than yourself. Do not think that my warning is a sign that I am disappointed in you. No, my beloved child. My warning is proof that I am still near to you. A father who loves you will not let you walk into the fire simply because you are smiling at its glow. A father who loves you will not praise you for courage when you are unconsciously walking toward the edge of a cliff. As many as I love, I rebuke and chasten. Therefore be zealous and repent. Revelation 3:19. My correction is love clothed in solemnity. There are times when love must gently embrace you. There are times when love must place a hand before you and stop you. There are times when love must interrupt what you thought was favorable. Because I know the outcome if you continue without awakening. If today you hear these words and feel your heart being stirred, do not regard it as coincidence. There are encounters within the soul that are not accidental. They are moments when grace draws near to call you back. Today, if you will hear his voice, do not harden your hearts, Hebrews 3:15. Do not delay the small act of obedience I am placing before you. Do not wait until every consequence becomes obvious before you call on me for help. Respond while the light is still gently showing the way. Turn back when you have only just realized your steps are drifting. Stop when I have only just placed my hand upon your shoulder. A small adjustment today can save you from a great sorrow tomorrow. I am still here. My beloved child, I go before you to prepare the way. Walk beside you to sustain you. Come behind you to protect you from what you do not see, and dwell within you to bear witness that you do not belong to darkness. Let me take your hand and lead you out of the gray places of habit, out of the chains decorated with familiarity, out of the side roads that are causing your soul to lose its light. I do not bring you out so that you may be empty, but so that I may lead you into the place where truth makes you free. And you shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. John 8:32. When you allow me to lead, you will realize that what I interrupt is not your life, but the thing quietly stealing that life from you. And step by step, in my hand, you will learn again how to live awake, pure, peaceful, and full of light. My beloved child, there are words I do not place in the thunderous noise of the world, but in the deep silence of your heart, where no one else can enter, where the truest things begin to speak. If you learn to pause, if you are willing to sit still in my presence, you will realize that I have never stopped speaking to you. I speak in the peace that gently returns after a troubled day. I speak in the holy uneasiness when you are about to step into a turning that does not belong to life. I speak in the heaviness of the soul, when something outwardly appears good, but within you there is no light. Do not be quick to call every hesitation weakness, and do not be quick to regard every prompting to stop as fear. There are times when I, myself, place within you a restraint as gentle as breath, so that you will not go too far down a road whose end your eyes have not yet seen. As it is written, your ears shall hear a word behind you, saying, this is the way, walk in it. Whenever you turn to the right hand, or whenever you turn to the left, Isaiah 30:21. But that voice is recognized only by the one who is still enough to listen, humble enough to ask, and soft enough to be led. I know that the life around you carries many voices. There is a voice telling you that you must move faster. Decide immediately. Seize it before you lose it. Prove that you are strong by refusing to hesitate. There are voices of old memories, old wounds, and unhealed longings, and they can disguise themselves as wisdom in order to push you toward what has not yet been brought into the light. But my child, not every urging is guidance. Not every strong emotion is my voice. Some things come from the fear of missing out, some from the desire to control, some from weariness that only wants to choose the easiest thing and be done with it. Therefore, I teach you to slow down, not so that you will miss your life, but so that you may discern the voice of the shepherd from the voice of a stranger. My sheep hear my voice, and I know them, and they follow me. John 10:27. The one who belongs to me does not listen only with the ears, but with a soul that has become familiar with my presence. Do not fear the quiet spaces. My beloved child, many times you want to fill them with sound, with work, with hurried decisions, with words of self-reassurance that everything is still fine. But in stillness, I often bring what has been buried deep into the light. In stillness, I help you recognize what carries true peace and what is only temporary excitement. In stillness, I tune the rhythm of your heart back to the rhythm of grace. Elijah once sought me in the great wind, the earthquake, and the fire, but I was not in those sounds. Then after the fire came a still small voice. And there he recognized that I was speaking. 1 Kings 19:11-13. You are the same, my child. If you only wait for something intense before believing that I am speaking, you may overlook the gentle guidance that comes to you each day. I do not need to frighten you in order to gain your attention. My love is patient enough to whisper, yet holy enough not to let you remain asleep forever. There is something I want you to understand with a watchful heart when I remind you. I do not remind you only once and then abandon you if you do not hear in time. I am a compassionate Father, slow to anger and rich in mercy. I knock at the door many times, place many signs before you, and repeat warnings within your heart in many different ways. Sometimes I use a scripture that suddenly touches you. Sometimes I use the counsel of an upright person. Sometimes I use the deadlock of circumstances so that you can no longer continue walking in unconsciousness. But if you keep ignoring me again and again, the danger is not that my love runs out. It is that your ears gradually become more accustomed to noise than to my voice. Today, if you will hear his voice, do not harden your hearts. Hebrews 3:15. A hardened heart does not form in a single moment. It is formed through many delays of obedience, many times of extinguishing the small light, many choices of convenience instead of truth. I do not move away from you, but you can make your heart so busy, so noisy, so confident in its own way that it no longer recognizes my hand resting gently upon your shoulder. Remember Peter on the night he stepped out of the boat to walk upon the water toward Christ. As long as his eyes remained fixed on the Lord, the impossible became a place for his feet to stand. But when he looked at the wind, the waves, and the threat around him, he began to sink. Even so, when he cried out, "Lord, save me," the Lord immediately stretched out his hand and took hold of him. Matthew 14:28-31. Do you see? My beloved child, your stability is not found in controlling the sea, nor in making the wind become still according to your will. Your stability is found in whether your eyes remain fixed on me. When I am the center, you can walk through what is frightening and still not be swallowed. When I am pushed to the margins, even the things you think you are controlling can become waters that pull you down. There are opportunities in your life that carry a seasonal nature. I do not say this to place pressure upon you, but so that you may learn to honor the rhythm of grace. There is a door I open in a certain time, an invitation I place in your heart in a certain season, an adjustment that needs to be made when the light has just begun to shine. Not because I am withholding from you, but because life has order, just as the sower must know the season for sowing. The reaper must know the season for harvest, and the keeper of the vineyard must know when pruning is needed. To everything there is a season, a time for every purpose under heaven. Ecclesiastes 3:1. If you keep saying later to what I am calling you to do today, you do not lose my love, but you may miss the harmony of what I am doing. And many times, the deepest pain is not being abandoned by me, but looking back and realizing that hesitation delayed what could have blossomed through obedience. I do not want you to live with the feeling that you must chase after everything, but neither do I want you to use waiting as a hiding place for fear. Waiting in me brings peace, while delay born of fear often brings heaviness. Waiting in me makes your heart clearer, while delay born of unconsciousness makes your heart grow dim. Waiting in me still keeps you connected to my voice, while prolonged delay causes you to grow accustomed to not responding. Therefore, bring each delay of yours before me. Ask me, Father, is this holy waiting, or is this avoidance in disguise? I do not rebuke you when you ask honestly. I rejoice when you bring your heart into the light. For if any of you lacks wisdom, let him ask of God, who gives to all liberally. James 1:5. I do not hide wisdom from the humble who seek it. I simply do not force the self-satisfied to hear what they do not want to receive. You may think you are holding your life together with your own hands. But I tell you the truth, whatever you hold by your own strength without placing it in me will one day exhaust you. Control is not gripping every variable, predicting every outcome, or ensuring that everyone acts according to your will. True control, true stability, is being anchored in me so deeply that even when circumstances change, you are not swept away from your identity. You will keep him in perfect peace, whose mind is stayed on you. Isaiah 26:3. When I am at the center, you do not need to live in constant reaction. You can choose with clarity. You can stop at the right time. You can step in the right season. You can release what does not belong to you without fearing emptiness, because you know that my hand is still fuller than everything you are trying to grasp. Therefore, my beloved child, practice returning to stillness each day. Before you decide, listen. Before you answer, let your heart be illuminated. Before you step through a door simply because it is open, ask whether my light is there. If a holy prompting is calling you to stop, do not bury it beneath noise. If an invitation is drawing you nearer to me, do not postpone it until tomorrow, simply because today you still want to remain in the familiar place. I am near to you, patient with you. Yet, I love you too deeply to pretend that every delay is harmless. Let your ears be cleansed from noise, your heart softened from hardness, and your steps restored to my rhythm. When you listen and respond, you will realize that I am not taking away your freedom. I am setting you free from chaos disguised as freedom. And in connection with me, you will find what you thought you had to control by yourself: a steady, clear, peaceful life, guided step by step by a love that never loses its way. My beloved child, I want you to understand that my mercy is not a stream that flows for one season and then runs dry. Nor is it a lamp with only enough oil for the days when you are strong and worthy, according to your own judgment. My mercy is deeper than your weariness, more enduring than the times you stumble, wider than every distance you thought you had wandered. What hinders it is not any lack within me, but the moments when you close the door of your heart, when you lock yourself behind walls of guilt, fear, and paralysis, imagining that I am standing outside as others once stood outside your pain. But I am not like them. I do not come to force you open by strength. I draw near to you with holy patience, and my invitation remains as gentle as it was in the beginning. Come to me, all you who labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Matthew 11:28. Do you see? The promise is already given. The arms are already open. The rest has already been prepared. But true love does not drag you into healing if you are unwilling to step into the light. I do not require you to come to me with perfectly arranged prayers, nor do I demand that you present your pain in beautiful language before you can be heard. Sometimes the truest prayer is only a trembling breath, a tear without words, a very small whisper. Father, I need you, and my beloved child. That alone is enough for the door you thought was sealed shut to begin opening. The Lord is near to those who have a broken heart, and saves such as have a contrite spirit. Psalm 34:18. I am not a stranger to your brokenness. I am not confused by the fragments within your heart. I do not turn my face away when you no longer know where to begin. When you open your heart, even through a small crack of truth, I enter without delay, without contempt, without reproaching you because you took so long. I enter as light enters a dark room, quietly, yet unable to be stopped. There are places within you that have been silent for too long, not because they no longer contain life, but because they have been covered by the ice of things you have not yet fully wept over. Named or surrendered to me, there are disappointments you buried so deeply that you thought you had overcome them, when in truth, you only learned not to touch them anymore. There were promises that once made your eyes shine, and when they broke, you told yourself never again to hope too much, never again to trust deeply, never again to love with your whole heart, never again to open too wide so you would not hurt more. You called that shrinking wisdom, that numbness peace, that guardedness self-protection. But I see my child living beneath the measure of life I appointed. I do not blame you for being wounded. I do not despise you for building walls. I only come to tell you that the wall which once protected you for a season must not be allowed to become your prison forever. Remember Ezekiel, when I brought him to the valley full of dry bones. Before his eyes was not a garden in bloom, but a place where everything seemed to have ended, where life no longer had any sign to hold on to. But I asked him, Son of man, can these bones live? And when my word was spoken, bone came together with bone. Sinews and flesh came upon them. Breath entered them. And an entire army came back to life and stood on its feet. Ezekiel 37, 1-10. My beloved child, there are places within your heart that are like that valley. You look at them and say, this place is dead. This faith cannot return. This tenderness cannot be revived. This hope is too old. But I am the one who speaks life over the place you call an ending. I do not need many signs in order to begin. I only need you to bring that valley before me and allow my word to have authority to resound over the parts you thought could no longer hear. I want to stir again within you the things that have fallen asleep. But my stirring is not like the violence of the world. I do not tear open your wound to prove that I am powerful. I touch with a gentleness that carries authority, by the Holy Spirit who knows exactly what needs to be awakened, what needs to be comforted, and what needs to be set free from old memories. As I have spoken, I will give you a new heart and put a new spirit within you. I will take the heart of stone out of your flesh and give you a heart of flesh. Ezekiel 36:26. A heart of flesh is not a weak heart, but a heart that can still feel life. It knows how to weep without despairing, how to love without losing itself, how to believe without being blind, how to hope without needing to control everything. I do not renew you merely so that you may appear different outwardly. I renew you from the depths, where old reactions are healed, where old fears lose their right to rule, and where your soul learns again how to respond to love. Do not be afraid when I make you tender again. You once thought that if your heart were soft, you would be easily wounded, but in my hands, tenderness is not danger, but a sign of life. Soil that is too hard cannot receive the seed. A heart that is too closed cannot receive the rain of grace. Therefore, when I move you before a true word, when I cause you to want to pray after a long season of silence, when I cause your tears to fall over something you thought you had forgotten, do not resist. That is not weakness returning. That is life rising up through the old soil. Those who sow in tears shall reap in joy. Psalm 126:5. There are tears that do not pull you back into the past, but water the future. There are times when your heart breaks open not so that you may lose more, but so that a new seed may have room to take root. I know you once tried to be strong by needing no one, expecting nothing, feeling little, and trusting only shallowly. But my child, the life I give is not a cold fortress where you are safe, but alone. The life I give is a river, and that river must flow. It flows through faith, through love, through hope, through forgiveness, through the ability to rise again after falling. Out of his heart will flow rivers of living water, John 7:38. I did not create you to become a closed pool because you are afraid of being stirred. I created you so that my life may flow through you, refreshing not only you, but also the people I will place along your path. But that river must be released from the stones of wounds not yet surrendered, from the mud of disappointments not yet healed, and from the locks of hidden vows that say you will never open your heart again. So today, draw near to me with the simplest truth. Do not decorate your pain. Do not hide your weariness. Do not pretend you are fine simply because you have grown used to functioning while your heart is dry. I do not need your mask. I want your heart. Tell me where within you has grown cold, where you have stopped believing, where you have become afraid to love, where you no longer expect anything good. I will not use that truth against you. I will use it as a doorway to enter and heal. A bruised reed he will not break, and a smoking flax he will not quench. Isaiah 42:3. You are not too fragile for me. You are not too damaged to be restored. You are not too far for mercy to reach. And when I begin to awaken you, do not hastily demand that every feeling return in a single day, every belief come back to life in one moment, and every wound close according to the speed of your own desire. Let me work according to the rhythm of grace. A sunrise does not tear the night apart. It causes the darkness to recede little by little through faithful light. I will do the same within you. Little by little, you will see that your heart is no longer as numb as before. Little by little, you will dare to hope without trembling as much as before. Little by little, you will recognize that the old layers no longer fit you, because I am making within you a new heart, a new breath, a new tenderness, and a new strength. Let me hold you through that process. My mercy is still flowing. My love is still calling. And when you open your heart, you will realize that you were not created to live halfway in the shadow of what has passed, but to rise fully into the light of the one who has never stopped loving you. My beloved child, there are seasons in your life when, from the outside, it seems as though nothing is moving. Yet in the deepest hidden place of your soul, I am quietly doing a work that your eyes cannot yet measure. You see yourself growing weaker. You feel as though your prayers are falling into silence. You see doors that have not yet opened, promises that have not yet taken shape, and footsteps that must keep passing through the same long valley until weariness settles in. But my child, do not be too quick to call that waiting abandonment. There are things I do not give immediately, not because I am withholding mercy, but because I am making your heart deep enough, tender enough, and steadfast enough to carry what I am about to place in your hands. Just as the potter does not quickly remove his hands from the clay while its form is still unfinished, I also do not withdraw my hand from your life while you are still being reshaped by grace. Behold, as the clay is in the potter's hand, so are you in my hand, Jeremiah 18:6. Therefore, do not despise the days that seem delayed to you. In those very days, I am forming a depth within you that easy seasons could never create. I know there are times when you have wondered whether your weakness has disappointed me, but I speak to you with the love of a father. Weakness does not drive you away from me. It can become the very place where you learn to lean on me in the truest way. You often want to come before me with hands full of accomplishments, with clear answers, with a posture that does not tremble. But I do not require you to be strong before you are loved. I do not wait for you to be whole before I touch you. My grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness. 2 Corinthians 12:9. Let that word enter the place you still try to hide. I am not repelled by the cracks within your heart. It is through those very cracks that my light can enter more deeply, not to shame you, but to heal you with a love that does not condemn. Perhaps you have tried many times to keep control over everything because you feared that if you let go, your life would fall apart. But my beloved child, surrendering to me is not the loss of yourself. It is a return to the one who knew you before you even knew how to call yourself by name. When you hand the steering wheel back to me, you do not become a weak and directionless soul. You become one led by a wisdom higher than your anxiety. The voice of fear often pushes you to run, to seize, to prove, to defend. But my voice often comes like still waters, inviting you to trust, inviting you to rest, inviting you to take one step in peace. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct your paths. Proverbs 3:5-6. You do not need to understand the entire road before you are allowed to keep walking. You only need to recognize that my hand is still holding yours. And I want you to remember Joseph, the son who was thrown into a pit by his own brothers, sold into a foreign land, falsely accused, in prison, and delayed through years that seemed meaningless. Through human eyes, Joseph's life looked like a chain of unjust brokenness. But in the place where people called it disaster, I was weaving a path of salvation. The prison was not the end. It was where I prepared him for the palace. Betrayal could not cancel the word I had spoken. It only became one thread in the larger tapestry I was weaving. When Joseph stood before those who had wounded him, he no longer spoke with the voice of bitterness, but with understanding refined by fire. You meant evil against me, but God meant it for good. Genesis 50:20. My child, the things that once wounded you do not have the authority to write the final chapter of your life. If you place them in my hands, I can turn even tears into seeds, even loss into a doorway, and even the years of being misunderstood into the birthplace of wisdom. Do not allow old judgments to keep ruling over your identity. There are voices that once named you by your mistakes, by your failures, by the seasons when you had not yet matured, by wounds you did not choose for yourself. But I do not call you by what broke you. I call you by what I placed within you from before time began. You are not the sum of your worst days. You are not the shadow of what others have spoken over you. You are my workmanship, loved by me, seen by me, lifted by me, and restored by my kindness. As it is written, I have loved you with an everlasting love, therefore I have drawn you with loving kindness. Jeremiah 31:3. My love does not come like a hammer falling down to condemn you. My love comes like a hand lifting your face, so you may see that there is still light reserved for you. Therefore, when you pass through a season without answers, learn to distinguish between silence and absence. I may be silent, but I have not gone away. I may not have opened the door yet, but I am still preparing the key. I may not change the circumstance immediately, but I am changing something deeper within you, the way you trust, the way you wait, the way you love, the way you stand firm when nothing outward remains to reassure you. There are blessings that, if they came too soon, would make you proud. There are opportunities that, if opened before their appointed time, would lead you astray. There are promises that require a heart already refined, so that the gift does not become a burden. To everything, there is a season, and a time for every purpose under heaven. Ecclesiastes 3:1. I am not late in your life. I arrive at the right time, even when that timing goes beyond the schedule you have drawn in your own mind. Let me heal even the places where you have grown accustomed to protecting yourself. There are parts of you that learn to become hard because they were once wounded, that learn to doubt because they were once disappointed, that learn to stay silent because they were once not heard. But my beloved child, I do not merely want you to survive. I want you to come alive again in holy tenderness. I want you to be able to trust without becoming naive, to love without losing yourself, to wait without falling into despair, to move forward without carrying the chains of the past. I will give you a new heart and put a new spirit within you. I will take the heart of stone out of your flesh and give you a heart of flesh. Ezekiel 36:26. This is the work I am doing, not merely repairing the surface, but renewing the very spring within you. So then, my child, stop condemning yourself because the process is not yet complete. A seed is not blamed for not becoming a tree on the first day it is placed in the soil. A dawn is not rejected because its light comes gradually. You are the same. You are growing in my hands. Little by little, through the things you understand, and even through the things you do not yet understand. The days when you thought you were merely enduring were, in truth, forming perseverance within you. The times when you chose to trust me instead of listening to fear are remembered by heaven. The prayers that caught in your throat through tears have not been overlooked by me. He who began a good work in you will bring it to completion. Philippians 1:6. I did not begin within you only to abandon the work halfway. I did not sow a promise only to leave it withering in the dust. Lift your head in peace, not because everything has become easy, but because I am still faithful amid all that remains unclear. Take one more step, not by your own strength that is running out, but by the grace that is lifting you from within. Entrust to me the broken pieces you once tried to hide, the questions you were once afraid to speak, and the memories that still ache when touched. I will not use them against you. I will use mercy to make them become places where you come to know me more deeply. And one day, when you look back on the road you are walking today, you will understand that I did not waste a single tear. I was in the delay, in the correction, in the silence, and even in the turns you did not choose. I have woven all things with love, so that what once made you tremble will become a testimony that my hand can renew, restore, and lead you into the peace your soul has always longed for. My beloved child, there are callings that do not sound outside your ears, but resonate deep within the hidden place of your soul. Like a stream touching a spring that has long been covered over, you do not need to quickly doubt that stirring, nor should you treat it as merely a passing emotion that appears for a moment and then fades away. There are moments when I awaken you, not with thunder, not with signs that shake the heavens, but with a quiet realization that you were not born to live separated from the light, that you were not created to keep bowing your head beneath the shadow of fear, and that you are not a nameless soul drifting through life. As it is written, I have called you by your name, you are mine, Isaiah 43:1. When that word touches the inside of you, you may not be able to explain it with reason, but your soul knows. It knows the voice of its Father. It knows where it belongs. It knows that there is a holy part within you that has fallen asleep, not because it has died, but because it has been waiting for me to call it awake at the appointed time. Therefore, when you feel your heart being stirred by something good, when you suddenly desire to return to truth, to live more purely, to let go of what has darkened you, and to step into what I have placed before you, understand that this is not coincidence. I am touching the deepest string within you, the place where the sounds of heaven are still remembered. The world may have covered you with many layers of dust, judgment, disappointment, delay, seasons of being misunderstood, and the times when you tried to live so strongly that you forgot your own tenderness. But dust cannot erase the nature of light. It can only cover it for a time. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it. John 1:5. You have passed through darkness, but darkness does not own you. It can become the backdrop that helps you see more clearly what I placed within you from the beginning. I want you to remember Samuel when he was still a child, sleeping in the temple, in the middle of the night, when everything was quiet. I called his name. At first, Samuel did not understand where that voice was coming from. He thought Eli was calling him. So he ran to his old teacher. But that call did not come from man, from the one who knew his name before he fully understood his calling. And when Samuel learned to say, "Speak, for your servant is listening," 1 Samuel 3:10, a life was opened under my guidance. Do you see? My beloved child, a true calling sometimes begins in confusion. You do not always understand immediately what I am doing. But if you listen with a humble heart, if you do not run away from that awakening, I will teach you to distinguish my voice among countless noises. Perhaps you have searched for a long time outside yourself, in the recognition of others, in doors of success, in praise, in status, in being seen by someone and affirm that you have value. But my child, the thing you long for most deeply does not lie in the hands of the world, for the world to give or take away. The light you seek is not something borrowed from the crowd. I placed it like a holy seed within you, and what it needs is not noise, but obedience, not performance, but trust, not haste, but for me to kindle it by the breath of the Holy Spirit. You are the light of the world. A city set on a hill cannot be hidden, Matthew 5:14. But that light was not given so you would stand in pride before others. It was given so you would live in alignment with the identity I have sown into your soul. I have seen you in the days when you thought you were completely hidden. I saw you when you still tried to smile though your heart was weary. I saw you when you prayed with more tears than words. I saw you when you wanted to give up but still chose to take one more step. Do not think those silent moments are meaningless. On earth, perhaps no one recorded them, but before me, nothing born of love is ever forgotten. As it is written, you have counted my wanderings. Put my tears into your bottle, Psalm 56:8. Your tears have not fallen into emptiness. The sighs you could not form into words have not disappeared into nothingness. I have heard, I have seen, I have kept them. And even when you thought you were falling, my hand was still upholding you in a way you had not yet recognized. Therefore, do not be afraid of the door I am opening. There are doors that do not merely lead you into a new circumstance, but lead you back to who you are in me. When you step through, you will understand that true change does not begin with the scenery around you, but with the awakening within you. You may enter a new season with the same feet, the same face, and the same old memories. But if your soul has been awakened by me, everything will carry a different meaning. What once frightened you will no longer have the same power to control you. What once made you doubt yourself will become the place where you learn to recognize grace. What once made you think you lacked light will become the dark background upon which I reveal my glory. Arise, shine, for your light has come, and the glory of the Lord has risen upon you. Isaiah 60:1. This is not a call for you to try to shine by your own strength. It is an invitation to stand in the light that has come from me. And in every step beyond that door, remember that I am not merely standing at the end of the road, waiting for you to arrive. I go before you to open the way, beside you to uphold you, behind you to protect you, and within you to strengthen your soul. You do not need to see the entire map in order to trust. The shepherd does not explain every turn of the pasture to the sheep, but the shepherd's voice is enough for the sheep to follow. My sheep hear my voice, and I know them, and they follow me. John 10:27. When you are unsure which direction to turn, return to the peace I have placed within your heart. When you are torn between the voice of fear and my voice, remember this: the voice of fear causes you to shrink back, but my voice leads you into truth. Even when that truth asks you to be courageous, there will be people who do not understand the change within you. They may be accustomed to the version of you who once stayed silent, who once doubted, who once asked permission to exist, who once made yourself smaller out of fear of disturbing the world. But you do not need to return to your old shadow just to make others comfortable. Humility is not denying the light I have given you. Humility is allowing that light to belong to me, to be led by me, and to serve what is good. When Moses came down from Mount Sinai, his face shone because he had been in my presence, though he himself did not know it. Exodus 34:29. Do you see? True light often does not need to announce itself. It comes from being near me. It radiates from a soul that has learned obedience in the hidden place, that has allowed me to touch the deepest regions within, and that has allowed my love to replace fear. So then, my beloved child, keep walking, not with the self-satisfaction of one who thinks they are already strong enough, but with the faith of one who knows they are being led. Go forward not because you understand everything, but because you know the one who holds your hand is faithful. Live not to prove your worth before the eyes of the world, but because you were loved by me before you ever did anything worthy of pride. He who began a good work in you will bring it to completion until the day of Jesus Christ. Philippians 1:6. I did not awaken you only to abandon you halfway. I did not place light within you only to let it die out in loneliness. I will nurture what I have sown, fan into flame what I have kindled, and complete what I have begun by my mercy and my power. Let your soul rest in this truth. You are not nameless, not forgotten, not drifting outside my plan. Your silent days have been witnessed by me. Your long nights have had me near. The times when you thought you had no strength left were the very moments when I became strength within you. And now, as the light inside you begins to awaken, do not step back out of fear of the old darkness. The darkness that is past cannot define you. It only testifies that I kept you through the depths. Step through the door. I am opening with a tender heart, with eyes that know how to look upward, and with obedience that does not need to be loud. For the good thing I have placed within you will not only heal you, but will also touch those who need to see that grace can still awaken a soul, renew a life, and transform the place that was once dark into a radiant testimony of my love. My beloved child, there are things that do not come with a loud sound, not with a sign that makes the world turn its head, but with a very gentle touch within the heart, so tender that only a heart willing to become still can recognize it. You may be sitting in the middle of an ordinary day, hearing a sentence, seeing a ray of light, feeling a deep vibration within your soul, and then wondering why something inside you has suddenly awakened. Do not take that moment lightly, and do not quickly deny it merely because your reason cannot yet give it a name. I often come to you in this way not to frighten you, not to push you into confusion, but to remind you that beneath the layers of weariness, beneath the years in which you tried to protect yourself, there is still a part of you that belongs to the light. Just as I came to Elijah, not in the great wind, not in the earthquake, not in the fire, but in a still, small voice. 1 Kings 19:11-12. I am also calling you with a tenderness deep enough for your soul to recognize the Father is still here, and you are still being called. Perhaps you have grown accustomed to seeking me in things that are powerful, obvious, and easy to prove. But my child, the sacred does not always enter your life in a radiant form. Many times it comes like a breath after a long night, like dew resting on a flower before dawn rises, like peace gently returning after months when your heart was filled with noise, when you feel yourself moved by what is good, when your heart desires to turn away from the old, when a longing rises within you to be purer, truer, and nearer to me. That is not weakness. It is a sign of life. For it is God who works in you both to will and to do according to his good pleasure. Philippians 2:13. I am the one touching your will, not forcing you with cold power, but drawing you with kindness, so you may return to the image I placed within you from the beginning. That flame, my beloved child, has never been considered extinguished by me. You may have thought it was gone, because there were seasons when disappointment covered your heart with ashes. Harsh words made you withdraw, and falls made you no longer dare to believe in the goodness within you. But what I have placed there is not easily destroyed by dark days. A ray of light from me may be hidden, but it is not owned by the darkness. As it is written, a bruised reed he will not break, and a smoking wick he will not quench. Isaiah 42:3. Hear that word with your whole soul. I do not come to conclude that your worth has run out. I come to bend down over the part of you that is still smoldering and breathe into it the breath of life. Where others see only ashes, I still see glowing embers. Where you see only weariness, I still see an unfinished promise. Therefore, do not fear the winds that are blowing through your life. There are winds that make you think you will lose your balance, but in truth, they are blowing away the dust that has covered the light. There are stirrings that no longer allow you to sleep peacefully in what is familiar, no longer allow you to find peace in old patterns, no longer allow you to pretend that your soul does not hear the call. This is not disruption. This is awakening. When the Holy Spirit came on the day of Pentecost, suddenly there came a sound from heaven as of a rushing mighty wind, and those who were waiting were filled with power to step into what I had appointed for them. Acts 2:2-4. But before that public flame, there were days when they remained in waiting, in unity, and in quiet obedience. You are the same. Before your life burns brightly in what I have entrusted to you, I often prepare you in the hidden place, where no one applauds, where only your heart learns to say, "Let your will be done." I want you to remember Gideon, who was threshing wheat in a hidden place because he feared the Midianites. In his own eyes, he was only a small man from a weak clan, filled with trembling, seeing nothing in himself worthy of being called. But I did not call him by his fear. I called him by what I saw in him. My angel said, "The Lord is with you, mighty man of valor." Judges 6:12. Do you see? I often call you by your true name before you fully live in that name. I did not wait for Gideon to feel strong before I sent him. I touched the part buried beneath fear, rekindled courage in the place where he thought there was only weakness, and turned a man who was hiding into an instrument of deliverance. That story is a reminder to you that I do not look at you according to the size of your circumstances, but according to the power I can work through a heart willing to obey. So do not return to the old room simply because it is familiar. Do not go back to the thoughts that once made you smaller, the fears that once taught you to remain silent, or the lies that once made you believe you were only allowed to exist, but not to live fully. There are old things that no longer have enough room for you, not because you have become proud, but because I am enlarging something within you. New wine must be put into new wineskins, Luke 5:38. If I am renewing your soul, you cannot continue forcing yourself into patterns that once caused you to wither. True awakening always carries an invitation to leave the old behind, not leaving in contempt, but leaving in holiness, knowing that the season that is past no longer has the right to rule over the season I am opening. You may not yet fully understand what is beginning. You may not yet know what to call this movement within you. But trust that when I awaken your soul, I do not do it halfway. Once a seed is cracked open, it cannot return to being the same untouched seed. Once dawn has touched the horizon, it cannot pretend it is still night. Once a soul has heard my voice, it cannot fall back asleep in the same numbness as before. Awake, you who sleep. Arise from the dead, and Christ will give you light. Ephesians 5:14. That word is not a rebuke meant to shame you. It is the loving call of the Father, telling you that it is time to open your eyes, to rise, and to allow the light to touch the places you once kept closed. But my child, awakening is not only a burning emotion in a single moment. It is an invitation to step into a new life through quiet choices made each day. Today you choose forgiveness instead of nurturing bitterness. Tomorrow you choose prayer instead of sinking into anxiety. In another circumstance you choose truth instead of hiding out of fear. In another trial you choose to obey me instead of returning to the easy path that darkens your soul. These are the choices that keep the flame I have placed within you burning brightly. Do not quench the Spirit. 1 Thessalonians 5:19 is not only a warning, but also an invitation to preserve this new life through gentle watchfulness. Do not let the noise of the world extinguish the call within you. Do not let delay make you doubt what I have begun. I know you may still tremble. I know that when you stand at the threshold of something new, your heart may be both longing and afraid. That does not disappoint me. Courage is not the absence of trembling. Courage is still placing your hand in mine when you cannot yet see the whole road. You do not need to force yourself to burn with strained effort. A flame that belongs to me is nourished by nearness to me. When you remain in me, the light will grow naturally, like a branch receiving life from the vine. Whoever abides in me, and I in him, bears much fruit. John 15:5. You are not called to prove by yourself that you have a purpose. You are called to stay near me. And from that nearness, purpose will unfold step by step. So keep walking, my beloved child, not as one forced to leave the past, but as one set free from it. Let the wind of faith blow through the places in your heart that once seemed lifeless. Let me rekindle what you thought had grown cold. Let this new awareness lead you into a life that is no longer merely surviving from day to day, but living with meaning, with purity of heart, with light that knows how to serve, with faith that knows how to wait, and with love no longer imprisoned by fear. I began touching you not to leave the work unfinished, and what I have awakened within you was not meant to be hidden again beneath old ashes. He who began a good work in you will bring it to completion. Philippians 1:6. Trust me in this tenderness. Respond to me in this obedience. For from this day forward, now that your soul has heard the call, you do not need to return to the old sleep anymore. You can step into the light with a heart rekindled. And let your life become a testimony that my mercy does not merely preserve the smoking wick, but causes it to blaze into a holy flame that lights the way for you and for those who are still lost in the night. My beloved child, there are moments in your life unlike any that came before, because in those moments your soul is not merely hearing a new thought, but recognizing a truth that was placed deep within you from the beginning. This is not ordinary memory. It is not something you learned from books or heard from the mouths of people. It is the quiet knowing of the soul when my light touches the place once covered by doubt, fear, and the years in which you forgot to whom you belong. Perhaps that feeling is both strange and familiar. Strange because you have lived for so long beneath layers that were not truly you. Familiar because the deepest part of you has always known that you were not created to wander in darkness. When this begins to rise within you, do not turn your face away. Do not extinguish it with cold reasoning. and do not quickly suppress it with the questions of fear. As it is written, you shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. John 8:32. That truth does not only open doors outside you. First, it unlocks something within you, where your true identity has been waiting to be called by name. I know you have searched for freedom in many different directions. There were times when you thought freedom meant no longer being bound, no longer having to listen to anyone, no longer needing to obey, no longer needing to return, and no longer needing to face the deep call within your heart. But, my child, freedom is not moving far away from the Father. Freedom is living according to the life I have placed within you. A person may step outside the house of love and think they are taking ownership of their life. Yet if the soul is being led by falsehood, they have only exchanged a familiar room for a lonelier land. Therefore, when you begin to feel something awakening within your heart, it is not the loss of freedom, but the beginning of true freedom. Where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is freedom. 2 Corinthians 3:17. This freedom does not make you rebel in the flesh. It causes you to rise in the light, no longer defined by what is old, no longer allowing fear to rule over your soul. Remember the son who left his father's house, taking his inheritance with him and carrying the illusion that outside his father's embrace there would be a greater life. At first, that road may have looked like freedom. The sounds of pleasure outside may have made him forget the warmth of home. But then, when his wealth was spent, his friends disappeared, and his honor fell into the dust. He found himself in a place of such lack that he longed for the food of animals. It was there, in that lowest place, not in a palace, not amid songs, but in the smell of poverty and shame, that he came to himself. Luke 15:17. Do you see? Sometimes awakening does not come when everything is radiant, but when the soul can no longer bear being separated from what is true. He remembered that he was not merely a failure in a distant field. He was the son of a father. And when he returned, the father did not stand at the doorway to interrogate him about every mistake, but ran to him, embraced him, kissed him, clothed him with a new robe, and restored his dignity. Luke 15:20-22. That is my heart toward you. Therefore, do not understand this season as a heavy ending. What you are going through is a return, not a return to a strange place, not a return into punishment, not a return so that every wrong thing you have done may be rehearsed before you again, but a return to the place where you have always belonged in. My love, there are parts of you that have wandered far because of wounds, because of disappointment, because of lies that made you believe you were no longer worthy of being loved. There are regions within your heart that learn to live like an exile, even though your soul still bears the mark of the Father's house. But today, as light enters those places, I do not come to shame you. I come to call you by your true name. I have loved you with an everlasting love, therefore I have drawn you with loving kindness. Jeremiah 31:3. It is that kindness that is drawing you, not with chains, but with a love gentler than every voice of judgment you have ever heard. My beloved child, there are veils being lifted within you, little by little. The first veil may be a pain you have never truly named. The next may be a fear you mistook for your nature. Then come the words others once spoke, the failures you have carried as your identity, and the seasons when you convinced yourself that you were only worthy of living small, only worthy of standing outside, only worthy of watching others step into the promise. But when my truth comes, it does not merely comfort you on the surface, it separates the false from the true, removes the old garment from your soul, and teaches you to see yourself through my eyes. If anyone is in Christ, he is a new creation. Old things have passed away. Behold, all things have become new. 2 Corinthians 5. 17. You do not have to keep wearing the garment of the past when I have prepared for you the robe of restoration. I also want you to remember Naomi, the woman who left Bethlehem in a season of famine and returned after many losses. Her heart so full of bitterness that she said, "Do not call me Naomi, call me Mara." Ruth 1:20. She thought her life had only bitterness left. She thought her hands were empty. She thought what had been lost would have the final word. But I was quietly weaving a story of restoration through Ruth's faithfulness, through the field of Boaz, through a lineage that would one day lead to the Savior. Do you see? Even when a soul returns with a broken heart, I can still place in its hands a future far beyond what it dares to ask. Your return does not have to be perfect before I receive it. You only need to turn your direction, and I am already there, making a way for something new to rise from the ground you thought had become barren. So when you feel yourself standing before something both familiar and new, let me lead you slowly. Do not demand that you understand everything in a single day. The light of dawn does not tear open the night with haste. It spreads gradually, gently, yet it cannot be stopped. Truth within you is the same. Today, you may recognize only one thing, that you no longer want to live in what is false. Tomorrow you may recognize something more, that you are not forgotten. Then, on another day, you will understand more deeply that what I am calling you into is not a burden, but life. Your word is a lamp to my feet and a light to my path. Psalm 119, 105. I do not always illuminate the entire road at once, but I will give enough light for the next step, so your heart may learn to trust instead of panic. Do not let the enemy of your soul convince you that it is too late to return. Do not listen to the voice that says you have gone too far, made too many mistakes, slept too long, or lost your opportunity. Those words do not come from me. When I call you, there is already a road home within that call. When I awaken you, there is already grace within that awakening to rise again. When I open your eyes to the truth, I also give you strength to step out of what once bound you. Therefore, if the Son makes you free, you shall be free indeed. John 8:36. True freedom is not you severing every tie with the past by your own strength. True freedom is when my power removes the chains from within you. So you no longer live like a prisoner, even though the door has already been opened. So return, my beloved child, not with the fear of one who has been caught, but with the faith of one who knows their Father is kind. Return to the prayer you have forgotten, to the purity you once longed for, to the light you once thought no longer belonged to you, to the identity you dropped somewhere in the seasons of weariness. I do not stand far away, waiting for you to finish repairing yourself before I allow you to come near. I run toward you at the very first step of your return. I cover you with mercy before you can even finish presenting all your apologies. I restore within you the dignity that the world had no right to take away. And from that place, you will understand that this journey is not about searching for something completely foreign, but about returning to the original truth. You belong to me. You are loved. You are called. You are restored. And the light now opening within you will lead you into the life I prepared in love from before time began. My beloved child, I rejoice that you have not turned away from the gentle touch of the sacred that is taking place within your heart. There are blessings that do not come like thunder upon a mountain, that do not force you to tremble before a great sign, but come like a soft breeze passing through the garden of the heart, stirring branches that have slept for far too long. When you do not rush to deny it, when you do not run away, when you are willing to stand still in quietness and let your soul listen, then what I placed within you from the beginning begins to stir back to life. It is not something you must travel across the world to find, nor is it a gift the world can give or take back. It is in the deepest place within you. where you once feared to enter because there were too many wounds, too many questions, too many things that had not yet been rightly named. But it is precisely there that I am rekindling life. As it is written, in him was life, and the life was the light of men, John 1:4. What is coming alive within you does not need noise to prove that it is real. For what comes from me is often first recognized by a deep peace. Therefore, remain a little longer in this stillness. My beloved child, do not hurry away to search for every answer with a weary mind. Do not let doubt enter like a cloud that covers the dawn just as it begins to rise. There are things I reveal only to those who know how to wait. Not because I desire to hide them, but because your heart must be softened in order to receive them. Be still, and know that I am God. Psalm 46:10. That stillness is not emptiness. It is a holy room where my voice becomes clearer than the voice of fear. It is the soft ground where a new seed can crack open. It is the place where you learn to distinguish between the pressure of confusion and the gentle guidance of grace. When I tell you to be still, it is not because you are forbidden to move forward, but because I want every step you take to arise from knowing, not from panic. There are sounds that do not need to become words for the soul to understand them. Just as a child knows the mother's voice before knowing how to explain love, just as sheep recognize the shepherd's voice among many other calls, you also carry a deep inner recognition of me, because I have placed my mark within you before you could define yourself, before the world placed names upon you, before you ever succeeded or failed. I knew you in the light of my eternal purpose. As it is written, before I formed you in the womb, I knew you, Jeremiah 1:5. You did not begin by accident. You are not a random soul wandering through life. When I breathed the breath of life into humankind, man became a living being, Genesis 2:7. And that breath is a reminder that true life within you is not only a heartbeat, but the ability to recognize the one who made you. I want you to remember Hannah, the woman who carried silent pain for so long that her lips moved in the temple, yet her voice could scarcely be heard. Others who looked at her could misunderstand her, but I heard clearly that soundless prayer. Hannah did not need to shout in order to gain my attention. The honesty of her brokenness reached the throne of grace. And when she poured out her soul before me, I opened something that did not merely heal her pain, but also brought forth Samuel, a prophetic voice for the whole people. 1 Samuel 1:10-20. Do you see? Great movements can begin in very quiet places. A prayer caught in the throat can still become a doorway. A hidden tear can still water the seed of destiny. What I am doing within you today may not yet have a clear form, but do not despise it simply because it begins small. Therefore, do not force the sacred to become loud before you believe it is real. The world often demands proof through applause, quick results, and confirmation from others, but I often build what is lasting in the hidden place. The roots of a tree do not shout as they sink deep into the earth, yet it is that silent place that keeps the trunk standing in the storm. Manna in the wilderness did not come like the Feast of Kings, but day by day it nourished my people through a long journey. Water from the rock did not appear according to human calculation, yet at the right time I caused it to flow, proving that even the dry place is not beyond my power. He shall be like a tree planted by the rivers of water, that brings forth its fruit in its season. Psalm 1:3. You are the same. If you remain near the source of life, what is within you will grow according to my season, not according to the impatience of fear. Perhaps you are sensing a stirring but do not yet know where to go, what to do, or what to call it. I do not demand that you understand everything fully today. I only invite you not to close your heart. Let that stirring lead you deeper, not deeper into confusion, but deeper into truth, layer by layer. I will gently open what you have buried, the pain that needs to be healed, the dream that needs to be purified, the identity that needs to be restored, and the calling that needs to be heard again. Your word is a lamp to my feet and a light to my path. Psalm 119, 105. A lamp does not always illuminate the whole horizon, but it gives enough light for the next step. And I want you to learn to trust in that next step. Because great faith does not always begin by seeing the entire road. Often, it begins by allowing me to hold your hand in one quiet moment. Do not be afraid of the deepest place within you anymore. I am not leading you there so you may be drowned in old memories, but so you may meet me in the very place you once thought could never be touched. There are rooms in your heart that you have locked away, not only to keep the pain inside, but also, unknowingly, to keep the light outside. Today, I do not break the door down with violence. I stand there with the patience of a father, knocking very gently. As it is written, "Behold, I stand at the door and knock. If anyone hears my voice and opens the door, I will come into him." Revelation 3:20. Understand this. My child, I do not invade your soul, I invite. I do not push you into what you are not yet ready to receive. I lead you in with gentle steps, so that my presence may warm the place that once felt cold. And the place I am leading you to is not a foreign land. It is the place where you have always belonged. My presence, my truth, my unchanging love. You once thought you had to become someone else before you could enter that place. But I tell you that you return not with a perfect mask, but with an honest heart. You do not need to repaint your soul before coming to me. It is when you come that I renew you. It is when you remain that I heal you. It is when you listen that I teach you to recognize the call that has been there for a long time. In repentance and rest is your salvation. In quietness and trust is your strength. Isaiah 30:15. That strength does not roar in order to prove itself strong. It stands firm in peace, because it knows it is held by the faithful one. Let me speak to the part of you that still doubts. What is rising within you is not an illusion. It is the ancient breath being awakened, the original light being cleared of the dust of time, the life I once placed in you finding its way back to its source. You did not learn this calling from the world, so the world has no authority to define it. It was not born from praise, so it does not die through rejection. It does not depend on whether others understand you or not, because what belongs to me within you is nourished by my presence. My sheep hear my voice, and I know them, and they follow me. John 10:27. When you hear, follow. When you recognize, keep your heart tender. When you do not yet understand, stay near me instead of running back to the old noise. So then, my beloved child, enter this stillness as one entering a holy place. Let your breathing slow down. Let your heart stop arguing with grace. Lay the unanswered questions down at my feet. I am not here to force you into some unfamiliar shape. I am here to call you back to what is truest within you. I am leading you in, not pushing you away. I am opening, not causing you to lose yourself. I am awakening, not frightening you. And as you continue to listen, you will understand that this sacred thing has always been waiting for you in the depths, a call from the Father, a breath of life, an unfading light, a path of return to the place where you have belonged from before time began. My beloved child, when you begin choosing trust instead of letting doubt lead the way, choosing a tender and surrendered heart instead of straining against what I am doing, you will recognize a very deep change that you once found hard to name. Not because every outward circumstance immediately becomes what you desire, Not because the world suddenly becomes easier, and not because every door opens all at once before your eyes. The first change happens in the breathing rhythm of your soul. You no longer live like someone who must chase every opportunity out of fear of being left behind. You no longer grip everything with weary hands. You no longer try to force open a door when the appointed time has not yet come. You begin to enter the rhythm of heaven, where everything has its season, every promise has its time, and every step is guided by a wisdom higher than your anxiety. As it is written, I will go before you and make the crooked places straight. I will break in pieces the gates of bronze and cut the bars of iron. Isaiah 45:2. When I go before you, you do not need to push forward in panic. You only need to walk in faith. I know there are times when you want to see the whole road before you dare to say yes. You want to be certain that you will not be wrong, will not be hurt, will not be misunderstood, will not have to wait any longer, and will not have to pass through roads that make your heart tremble. But, my child, faith is not seeing everything before you step. Faith is recognizing my voice in the place that is not yet clear and still placing your foot down in peace. The righteous shall live by faith. Habakkuk 2:4. Not by the assurance of what the eyes can see, not by the applause of people, and not by every circumstance being arranged according to your will. When you surrender, you do not lose the right to live. You hand the leadership of your life to the one who knows both the beginning and the end. True surrender does not make you smaller. It frees you from the burden of having to be the God of your own life. Therefore, do not fear the call that is sounding within you. Do not treat that stirring as something to run from simply because it invites you to leave the familiar place. There are calls from me that do not come to make you anxious, but to awaken the part of you that has slept too long beneath layers of fear. What you are sensing is not the illusion of a weary mind. It is life rising up. The seed I planted long ago beginning to crack open in its season. Unless a grain of wheat falls into the ground and dies, it remains alone. But if it dies, it bears much fruit. John 12:24. You may think an old part of you is being lost, but in truth, I am causing what is truly alive to be born. Some shells must break so the young shoot can step into the light. Remember Abraham, the one who heard my voice calling him to leave his country, his relatives, and his father's house, and to go to the place I would show him. He was not given a complete map in his hands. He was not shown every turn of the journey in advance. He did not know all the trials that would wait for him in a foreign land. Yet he walked because he trusted that the one who called him was faithful. By faith, Abraham obeyed when he was called to go out to the place which he would receive as an inheritance, and he went out, not knowing where he was going. Hebrews 11:8. Do you see? Obedience does not always begin with clarity. Many times it begins with a call so holy that the soul can no longer remain as it was. And when Abraham walked, I did not merely lead him to a land, I formed from his life a covenant, a lineage, and a story far greater than he could have imagined on the first day he left home. You are the same. When you respond to me, you are not merely changing one small decision in the present. You are stepping into the current of what I have prepared long ago. There are doors that will open at the right time. Not too early to make you proud. Not too late to ruin the promise. But precisely when I know your heart is ready. There are paths that will appear when you place your feet at the edge of the waters. Just as the children of Israel stood before the Red Sea, with the enemy behind them and what seemed impossible to cross before them. But when I gave the command, the sea parted, and the place that looked like a wall blocking the way became the road of deliverance. Exodus 14:21-22. My beloved child, I do not always open the way before you need to take a step. Sometimes I allow you to come right to the edge of the impossible, so you may know that the road is not made by your strength, but by my power. I smile when I see you beginning to respond. even if that response is very quiet, even if no one hears it. No one applauds it, and no one knows that within you there has just been a small but sacred yes. My child, no one can obey in your place. No one can borrow their faith to fully live out your calling for you. Others may encourage you, intercede for you, and walk with you for a portion of the road. But there are thresholds that only your soul must cross before me. Obedience cannot be borrowed like an outer garment. It must be born in the hidden place, where you look at me and say, I trust you, even though I do not yet understand everything. That is an offering pleasing to me. For to obey is better than sacrifice. 1 Samuel 15:22. I am not looking for a flawless performance from you. I am looking for a heart that knows how to become tender before the Father's voice. But do not fear the responsibility of that step, because although you are the one who must respond, you never walk alone. I do not stand far away, watching you stumble before deciding whether I will help. I am with you even before you realize you need to be upheld. I am present in your breath, in the quiet peace that reminds you to stop, in the hidden courage that keeps you from turning back, and in the small light that is enough to shine upon the next step. I will never leave you nor forsake you. Hebrews 13:5. That word is not an ornament for pleasant days. It is an anchor for your soul even in days of strong winds. When you are weary, I lift you. When you are confused, I guide you. When you are weak, I become the strength within you. Perhaps you will ask, if I follow this calling, who will I become? I tell you, you will not become a stranger. You will return to the truest thing I sang over you when I created you. Before the world taught you fear, before disappointment taught you to withdraw, before judgmental words placed upon you a garment that did not belong to you, I looked upon you with love and called the life within you good. For we are His workmanship, created in Christ Jesus for good works, which God prepared beforehand that we should walk in them. Ephesians 2:10. Your purpose is not a burden crushing your shoulders. It is the right rhythm of your soul when you live near me. When you live in what I have appointed for you, you do not have to strain merely to exist. You begin to breathe in truth. So let that calling lead you deeper, not through pressure, but through trust. Do not try to turn every sacred thing into a rigid plan immediately. Do not kill the seed through impatience, demanding to see fruit in a single night. Care for the life that is rising within you through prayer, through stillness, through each small, faithful choice, and through staying away from the things that once darkened your soul. A holy flame must be guarded. Keep your heart with all diligence, for out of it spring the issues of life. Proverbs 4:23. If you leave your heart among the noise of doubt, the flame will become covered with dust. But if you remain near me, that fire will grow not violently in a way that destroys, but warmly, clearly, and brightly enough to light your path and bring warmth to those I place beside you. From today onward, you do not need to chase every door like someone afraid of being left outside the plan. Walk as one who knows their Father goes before them. Wait as one who knows my timing is never wrong. Act as one who is being led, not driven by fear. When you choose to trust, heaven begins to teach you a new rhythm of life, slower than panic, deeper than fleeting emotion, steadier than the words of people, and brighter than the old darkness. And if, along the way, you sometimes tremble, remember that I do not condemn you for steps that are still weak. I rejoice because you are still walking. I rejoice because you have heard. I rejoice because you have not turned your back on the life rising within you. Keep going, my beloved child, because every step of obedience is bringing you closer to the place where you have always belonged. in my will, in my love, in my light, and in the good work I have begun and will bring to completion in your life. My beloved child, understand this with a deep inner knowing. Darkness does not tremble before empty declarations, nor does it retreat before a life that merely wears an outward appearance of righteousness. It is not afraid of lips that speak about light while the heart is still ruled by falsehood. What causes darkness to lose its power is not a loud voice, but a soul I have made alive, a soul that has passed through brokenness but has not allowed brokenness to become its grave. A soul that was once covered by doubt yet still chose to cling to me, a soul that may tremble, may grow weary, may have fallen before, but still rises because it knows the Father's hand has never let go. As it is written, they overcame him by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of their testimony. Revelation 12:11. A true testimony is not a beautiful speech adorned with polished words. It is a life that has been redeemed, a wound that has been touched by me. The days when you thought you could not make it through, yet my grace carried you onward. Therefore, do not despise what I have brought you through. There are seasons you thought were only tears, but I was turning them into anointing oil. There were nights you thought were only loneliness, but I was teaching you that my presence is nearer than the voices of people. There were times when you prayed and did not see the answer come immediately. Yet in that very waiting, I was making your faith no longer depend on passing emotion. When you still kneel, though your heart carries many questions. When you still choose love, though you have been wounded. When you still kindle hope in days so dark they seem to have no dawn. That is, when the light within you is no longer an idea, but a living power. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it. John 1:5. Darkness may surround you, but it cannot possess a soul that belongs to me. I want you to remember Paul and Silas in the prison at Philippi. They were not standing in a comfortable place, nor were they praising me in favorable circumstances. Their backs were wounded from the lashes. Their feet were fastened in stocks. Darkness covered the prison, and every natural reason could have told them to complain. But at midnight, they prayed and sang hymns to me. The prisoners listened. Then the earth shook. The chains fell, and the prison doors opened. Acts 16:25-26. Do you see? True light does not wait for perfect circumstances before it shines. It can lift its voice even in the place of confinement. It can turn a prison into a sanctuary. It can make the place that seemed like an ending become the beginning of deliverance. When you still worship me in your night, unseen chains begin to lose their authority over your soul. You carry my image within you, not as a distant idea for you merely to contemplate, but as a reality I am causing to grow day by day. From the beginning, I said, let us make man in our image, according to our likeness. Genesis 1:26. Therefore, the most noble thing within you does not come from achievement, status, praise, or the approval of the crowd. It comes from the holy mark I have placed upon you. Though sin may have dimmed it, though sorrow may have made you forget, though seasons of disappointment may have caused you to doubt yourself, that image remains as an invitation for you to return to true life. Every time you forgive, instead of feeding resentment, you reflect my mercy. Every time you choose patience instead of reacting in anger, you allow my peace to rule. Every time you do what is right in a place where no one is watching, you offer me a quiet but precious sacrifice. Do not think that transformation must come in one radiant moment for it to be considered real. I often transform you through small things, through choices no one applauds, through the times you remain silent instead of retaliating, through the moments you pray instead of giving up, through each day you choose to stay near me. even when your heart has not yet stopped trembling. As it is written, we all are being transformed into the same image from glory to glory. 2 Corinthians 3:18. From glory to glory does not mean a path without tears. It is the process by which I make you more and more like me. Not through cruel pressure, but through healing presence. I do not cast you into the fire to destroy you. I refine you like gold, so that what does not belong to you may be separated, and what I placed within you may shine. Perhaps you have once felt ashamed of your wounds, thinking they made you less holy, less worthy, less beautiful in my eyes. But, my child, in my hands, a healed wound can become a place through which light passes. Look at the risen Christ. He did not hide the nail marks from his disciples, but showed them his hands and his side, so that Thomas's doubt could be led into faith. John 20:27. Do you see? A wound that no longer bleeds under grace can become a testimony. I do not waste what you have endured. I do not let your pain become a meaningless wasteland. When you place it in my hands, I turn the place that once broke you into a place where others can recognize that I still heal, still restore, and still make new the souls that seem to have faded away. Therefore, do not try to live as though light belongs only to those who have never fallen. My light does not come from your perfection. It comes from your connection with me, the source of light that never runs dry. The moon does not create its own light, but it reflects the sun. You are the same. You are not called to shine by your own strength, by strained effort, or by proving that you are better than others. You are called to stay near me. I am the light of the world. He who follows me shall not walk in darkness, but have the light of life. John 8:12. When you abide in me, my light passes through your weakness, through your honesty, through the humility that has learned to trust, and that is stronger than every outward covering. There are victories in your life that no one sees, but heaven knows them well. The time you wanted to answer with bitter words but chose silence in love. I saw. The time you were misunderstood but still did not allow your heart to become hard. I saw. The time you were tempted to return to the old path but stopped and called my name. I saw. The time you were so weary that all you could say was, Father, please help me. I heard that too. Do not underestimate those quiet victories. They are the stones that build an altar within your soul. They testify that my grace is at work, not only in great things before the eyes of people, but in the very roots of who you are. The Lord does not see as man sees, for man looks at the outward appearance, but the Lord looks at the heart. 1 Samuel 16:7. So then, my beloved child, keep walking. Do not let the old darkness frighten you with memories of the seasons when you were weak. Do not let the enemy rehearse your failures in order to make you forget grace. If you have risen again in me, then what once made you fall no longer has the right to name you. If I have lifted you up, then the past is not allowed to sit on the throne of your present. Let your testimony grow not only through your mouth, but through your life, a life that knows how to forgive, how to hope, how to choose what is good, how to stand firm in the light, even after passing through a long night. And when you live this way, darkness understands that it no longer controls you, because you are not merely speaking about life, you are carrying my life within you. Remember, I do not demand that you become perfect in one day. I invite you to be faithful each day. Today, choose light in one thought. Tomorrow, choose love in one response. Then, on another day, choose truth in the place where you once wanted to hide. Each of these choices, though small in the eyes of the world, becomes a place where I transform you from within. And one day, You will look back and realize that I did not merely bring you out of darkness. I made you a living testimony that darkness does not have the final word. You are a child of light. You were created to reflect me. And every time you rise, every time you trust, every time you love, every time you choose what is right in the hidden place, your life is speaking to the entire unseen world. My love is stronger than brokenness. My grace is deeper than sin. And my light never goes out in a soul that knows how to remain with its Father.